Hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar where we delve into the topic of how IGCSE and international A levels can serve as an accelerated pathway for your child's academic journey. We are honored to have two distinguished speakers with us today to discuss this topic extensively. First, allow me to introduce Nuha Ghouse, the CEO and the founder of Tutopiya. She's a prominent figure in the education sector. She is also a citizen of Singapore and has a sound knowledge of how international examinations work. And joining her is our subject specialist and head of mathematics, Fairooza, who brings over 15 years of invaluable teaching experience along with deep understanding of subject and curriculum knowledge. Without further ado, let's start off. I now hand over the session to Fairoza to lead us through the insightful discourse ahead. Fairoza, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'll be first taking you through what we have, what are the other parts. So the most of the students, they struggle, especially in other areas like we mentioned. Can I finish the syllabus in 6 months? Should I only do past papers? They have a lot of questions. So we will be focusing on those things and helping these private homeschooling students or if who are doing additional subjects as private candidates. So what we understood is some countries, some schools, they have a traditional method of following. Like you do the primary and then you start with the lower secondary and then you have to sit for an exam, mock test, and then you sit for your IGCSE. But there are lots of other options that we can take. Like you can take short courses. There are short courses, I mean, quick courses. You can finish your IGCSE. We have a lot of success stories. We have one of our students here. He will also speak to you later. But we have a lot of success stories who have finished IGCSE in 6 months, in 8 months, and they have got A stars. If you to our social media, you will see all those success stories and videos how they have achieved. So after doing the primary education, of course, we have lots of other options. If you look at the international curriculum, we have lower secondary Edexcel, we have lower secondary Cambridge, and we have lots of other options where you can sit for IGCSEs. When I say IGCSEs, I'm not only mentioning about IGCSE Cambridge. It can also be IGCSE Edexcel, and you can complete it, in 2 years or maybe as a crash course in 1 year. Of course, with 20 plus past papers, was 20 plus past papers. And then you can also start with your A level and focus on your dream. So when you start your IGCSEs, for an example, let's say I want to become a doctor, right? But I decided that I want to become a doctor only after my IGCSEs. And I think, I have not done biology, I have not done physics, can I do medicine? That's a very, a common question that they have. No, you don't have to have biology, chemistry, or physics for you to choose science or medical field later. So those are options. English, but other than that, your dreams later according to what. Now, for an example, my ambition was never to be a teacher. I want to become an accountant and teach, to be in a bank. But I'm happy that I'm a tutor now and I'm educating a lot of students. There are different pathways that sometimes you decide later and how IGCSE and, IGCSE level can exam. So today we are going to focus more on the university. After you choose IGCSE, so this program is specially designed for Singapore students, mentioned in the flyer. So after the PSLE exams, what are the key points and how the student wants to, how will the parent help you to choose the subject? If you are a dream, if you want to become an engineer or a medicine or some other fields, what are the subjects we choose and what are the results we need to get, which university we need to enter, and what are the short routes that we can take. These are the areas we're going to discuss today. Like Rosie mentioned, we have Nuha, who is also a citizen of Singapore, and she has two sons studying there. She has a very good understanding about the Singapore curriculum and how the MOE works with them and how international curriculums can help them. So before I hand it over to Nuha, we have Yakia who will share his experience with us. Yeah, over to you.
Okay, thank you. So, before I begin uh, talking about the experience of my child in mathematics, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Tutopiya for giving this opportunity for him to learn the formal syllabus. I mean, to cover all the syllabus topics required for civil exams. I think that is very crucial. So I myself, I also try to help out in the sense that I try to fill out the gaps, in the sense that maybe the proving part of all the theorems that are related to the techniques used in the O levels, right? So just to share with you, and maybe some of you are curious how an 11-year-old boy can be doing O level math. But actually, that was not my initial intention. It's because of my own before I mentioned that perhaps even though this is recorded, hopefully this does not get published with my um, with, with my sharing. So hopefully it is just among us. Okay, so I'm just trying to share. But you can publish anything that is said by him because it's more on him, not on me, right? Because of my background in math, so I feel I understand the importance of mathematics in the real world, and not just that, the reason why mathematicians actually do math in the first place. So because this is my only child, so I try to give the best to him. So when he was born, I tried to think what I can give to him. So they came to a conclusion that maybe math is the main thing that I should train him in, because as the society is progressing, the technologies are advancing, AI is very important, and in his era, AI will be even more important than data science, and math is the foundation of AI and this data science. So that's the main reason why I think that math is, well, it will be important in all fields, even in social sciences, because creativity is actually a very important part of mathematics as well. So that's the reason why I try to train him. Now, that's my reason, but not his reason, because if I were to just force him to do math because I have a reason, that won't be fair to him. So I need to let him understand why that might be a good idea. So because he's a child, he wouldn't understand why this is needed in the industry. So I need to give him a different reason to do math. So I go back to the original reason, way in which math was invented thousands of years ago. It was because of the passion. Now, this passion is not just somebody decides, to work on some complicated symbols just for the sake of working on it. So mathematics was created because there was a real life problem. That was the reason why these quadratic equations were studied before the formalization of algebra. So that's how I try to give him a reason, the passion to solve real life problems. And well, given that he's a child, when he was born, of course, I can't just teach him it directly. I need to let him equip with the necessary skills. The first step is he must be able to think logically. So that's the first part, because I need him to be able to formulate the problem logically before he can solve it creatively. So the first part is logic. So when he was born, I taught him to think logically, even when he was a baby. Up to when he was 4 years old, I feel that he's ready. Then I taught him the set theory. So set theory, why I started with that is because I want him to be able to classify different objects. Okay, then after that, he's able to relate the different elements in the form of algebra. So with that, he's able to manipulate and play around and try to solve that problem. So that's where creativity kicks in. And I try to let him understand that solving a problem is very rewarding because he feels a sense of achievement. So that's how everything started. And as the ball gets rolling, I start to walk the same path, if not close to the same path, as what the ancient mathematicians have been doing, including Pythagoras and all that, to be able to prove the theorems. So I actually walk through all the proving for all the theorems that appear in the O-level text, everything. Okay, so he actually enjoyed it, and he actually proved to me that he could prove it himself. So I tested him, and then that was where he get his sense of achievement. So that was one of his reasons. He has a sense of achievement. Secondly, I let him to be able to participate in international assessment. So one way would be the Math Olympiad. And the same skills that he learned in creativity to solve the problem was transferred to solving creative problems in the Olympiad math, and which he got some awards on it. And then he got confident as well. So there's more motivation for him to do math. Then the next stage is O levels. So O level will be a lot easier for him. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm just saying that compared to creativity, a direct application might be easier. So, but because he understands how the formula came about, it's not actually a tedious task to him. But I still let him practice the problems. So in this sense, he didn't actually start off with memorizing a lot of formulas and try to reproduce the required results for the O-level assessment. So the whole thing was started from this inspiration. I tried to inspire him to do that. But of course, other things would be like to let him watch movies regarding mathematics and science, so to keep him motivated. And just as a final note, I feel that math, this creativity that he learns is transferable. It's not just in science. Let's say in the future he decides to do arts. This creativity can be transferred because he knows how to solve this problem. And then finally, this AI thing, the last bastion for AI that's irreplaceable by AI is this human ability to be creative. So if he's able to do that well, I think he might have a chance for a good career. Okay. So that's my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. How does he handle the now he's in year 6? So how does he handle doing the IGCSEs while doing his normal studies? Do you have a timetable? Does he manage his time at home?
You mean the timetable at home, how he studied?
Yes, like while doing his
Right.
school studies, he's a private candidate as an IGCSE student. How does he manage his time? And I
Okay.
believe that he's taking IGCSE classes with Tutopiya. How does he manage his things?
Right. Being an 11-year-old boy, he's still in a primary school, so he still, complete his homework, his school homework, including mathematics. And after that, when there's free time, then he will look into the problems. So it's not just solving the IGCSE problems. I still give him something to think about, because if I just let him do complicated problems, that might be a bit dull. So I try to give him some creative problems to solve, like those in the Olympiad math. So that would be, I think, slightly more interesting. So he does do a combination of both IGCSE and the Olympiad math. So in a way, it complements his IGCSE. So he practices his problem, he attends his classes in Tutopiya, and after that, when he has time, he do both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for that, for sharing that with us. And yeah, Nuha, do you want to add anything here?
Would be good to hear from you, Yap. Your story is so inspiring. Thank you for sharing. Would be really good to hear from you, Yap, as to how you're finding the IGCSE. What are your personal experiences?
You want to reply? What's your experience?
Very good.
Very good. Yeah.
Excellent.
His vocab may be not so elaborate, so maybe he says very good. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing Yap's dad. The story is really inspiring, and I think it's something that all of us can learn from. That you can accelerate your learning if you really put the effort and clearly early on you've really taken the initiative to really mold his mind and passion for maths, and that's a really inspiring story. So thank you for sharing, and I'm sure Yap, you'll go on to do amazing things and make us all really proud.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for. So we have Amrish joining. Before we go forward, Amrish, can I know if you are sitting for your IGCSEs? Are you are you a school sort of homeschooling? Over to you, Nuha, to make them, to take them through the short routes in Singapore curriculum. Thank you.
So thanks for that, Fairooza. So what I'd like to explain to you is, I don't know how many of you are Singaporean who are attending the webinar, but just from a Singaporean perspective, I'm based here. I'm a citizen, and so are my kids. And there are, and I'd like to tell you about the real challenges that being Singaporean and being a citizen poses in terms of children's academics. I've had my son, and he's just gone through the PSLE, which is called the Primary School Leaving Exam, short for that. That's what it's short for. It's a very stressful, very high stakes examination, and it actually determines the future for the child in a system like the Singaporean national curriculum, which streams you at the age of 12. So how it works is that at the age of 12, based on your exam results, you are put into different pathways, like what they call the express stream, the normal academic stream, and the normal technical stream. And these really determine your future and your access to universities. For example, express students are prioritized and put on the path to direct to universities in Singapore. Whereas those who are put on the path of the normal academic pathway or the normal technical pathway are put on the pathway towards ITE, which is the Institute of Technical Education, or polytechnics. And there is a stigma attached to these pathways. Of course, everyone, all of us have expectations of our children and would like them to be able to attend top universities, whether it's locally or globally. And some of our children are late bloomers, right? So they may just need more time to actually show their academic prowess. But unfortunately, the way the Singapore curriculum is structured, it does not really allow for late bloomers. Does not allow for students who are academically average students, and who have other talents. It is primarily aimed at students who are academically above average, and that those are the students for whom universities then become accessible. So from what we would like to share, especially as a citizen, I'd like to share is that there are alternative pathways for your child, right? It's just there's a lack of awareness in Singapore from where international curricula is concerned, that these exams, like the IGCSE and the international A-levels, which is the Cambridge International A-levels, not to be confused with the Singapore Cambridge GCA level, which is a special board examination which is held between Singapore and Cambridge, which is only for Singaporean students. What we are referring to is the international board exam, which is the Cambridge International exams, the Pearson EdXL exams, which are taken globally. Right. And equally, the IGCSE, which is the International General Certificate of Secondary Education, that is also a globally held examination by an international board, right? British board examinations. So these two qualifications are actually very accessible. You do not need to attend an international school. We understand that attending international schools in Singapore are, one, very costly, because they are, the fees are generally 25,000 Sing dollars upwards annually, and not accessible to the vast majority of Singaporeans. And second of all, we understand that you may have concerns from the Ministry of Education's perspective as to if your child, being a citizen in Singapore, would be allowed to take this pathway. We have clarified this with the Ministry of Education. I have personally clarified many times, but for my own children. And what we have understood is that as far as the MOE is concerned, as long as your child passes the PSLE, the Primary School Leaving Exam, they have the freedom to choose which particular freedom to do different curricula, freedom to either be part of the Singapore secondary schooling system or actually to do the international curriculum exams. And these exams, as I mentioned earlier, you don't not need to attend an international school to do these exams. As YAP is doing, you can do these exams privately. You simply need to, of course, do the preparation, be it studying yourself or get the guidance from an organization like ourselves or from tutors. And you need to register via the British Council in Singapore, from which you can then sit the exams, either at the British Council or via a registered center, of which there are many. Many of the international schools are registered examination centers where you can take your exams. So these qualifications are actually very, very accessible for be it Singaporeans or foreigners or PRs in Singapore. It is just not well known. And the benefits of these qualifications are many. One is that they are more holistic qualifications, less academically rigorous compared to the Singapore Cambridge GCE level qualification or the SEC, which is the new qualification that is being has replaced this qualification, and less academically rigorous than the Singapore Cambridge GCE level as well. So what this enables, how will this help your child? Is that it will give your child a more well-balanced education. They will, if they have other talents, they can pursue those at the same time. They're not restricted to just academics. And at the same time, they will be able to excel because the curriculum is well-rounded and a lot of it is already covered within the Singapore national curriculum syllabus because it is very academically rigorous. It prepares you for a higher standards. So when you are schooling and you attend, the Singapore national curriculum schools, you will find that the international board exams are much easier for you from an academic perspective. Right, which is a big bonus because what happens then is that you are able to obtain, many A stars, which put you on the pathway to and opens doors for the top universities globally or locally. Right. So this is something that a lot of students, you see them struggling in the Singapore secondary education system. They are maybe in the normal technical stream or the normal academic stream, locked out from university, right? Having to do the SEC qualification or the Singapore Cambridge GCE levels, and thereafter only on the pathway to Institute of Technical Education or polytechnics. Right. So for these students, this is a very real, very valuable opportunity. There is no reason for them to have to only be restricted to certain pathways. And even for students who are more academically able, this is a very good pathway because actually you will be able to accelerate your university entrance. Right? You'll be able to accelerate your pathway because within 6 months, for a Singaporean student, to be honest, that comes out of a Singapore secondary school, within 6 months, you can prepare and sit for these exams because you already have the necessary strong foundation, the skills that are required to excel in these exams. You have the knowledge, you have the concepts, you have the skills. It is just that you need to understand from this curriculum perspective how these concepts are assessed because the style of assessment is different. And you need to, of course, ensure that you revise the syllabus and practice past papers really well. So this becomes a very real and valuable opportunity for Singaporeans to be able to get really good results and put your children on the pathway to top universities. Now, I think I've clarified the MOE side. If you have any more questions on that side or any concerns about in anything I've raised, feel free to ask or have any clarifications. I hope that this gives a lot of awareness in terms of opportunities open to Singaporeans or PRs or foreigners based here. Equally, for those who are attending from overseas, I mainly spoke about the Singaporean perspective here, but equally, if you're studying the Malaysian curriculum, Malaysian national curriculum, I understand there are challenges there as well. The IGCSE in international A levels is equally a really, really good qualification for you to do. You can do it at the same time while you're studying at your local Malaysian school, or you can do it, just after you finish your Malaysian O-level equivalent. It is a very, very good opportunity because what the standard of exam is, it's an internationally recognized exam. Right. So this comes with a level of prestige attached to it. And this comes with a level of when you apply to universities, this really holds you in a very good stead. because they recognize international qualifications very highly. These are British boards, right? These are well-recognized British boards. These are the same boards that international schools are certified by. These are the same examination boards that international school students take exams for. So you are getting a qualification on par with that of an international school, but you're not paying the same level of fees, right? Far from it, right? You just need to do have some lessons with us. We have all the resources. We have all the tutors to equip you for it. We have actually built a learning portal, which prepares you completely. There are tutorial recordings there for it. There are resources for it. There are past papers for it. There's over 50,000 questions in the question bank there for it. And we have live tutors. We have exam preparation courses targeting the IGCSE, targeting the international A levels, and we have top tutors that we have brought in globally who have the best expertise to guide you to ensure that you get the best results, because that is our goal for you, that we drive you to, and we prepare you to get the best learning outcomes and the best examination results to help you enter the top universities globally. So that's about it from me. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to Fairooza and take questions if anyone has it.
Thank you so much, Nuha. That was very useful for us. I think you have any questions from the participants here?
Sorry, Nuha. May I ask a question?
Yes.
First of all, thanks for your sharing. And one of the reasons why I have chosen Tutopiya is because now I myself I was educated in Singapore, so I like the Singapore's education. I think it's a very great way to train a student. So that's the reason. And but since you mentioned accelerated program, and now, the traditional way of training would be we take a full range of subjects. Let's say if I want to go to A levels, for O levels, I don't know how is it in Singapore now, but for my age, for my time, we used to take a full range. That means all the sciences, and in fact, we also taught this social science as well. So, if you want to take the full range, then it might consume some time. And if his interest, let's say, is in a particular subject, is it possible to take just the required subjects to enter the A levels, or do we need to follow the traditional way where we take the full range?
So where the I'll just answer is this from the international curriculum perspective, like IGCSE and international A levels?
Yeah.
It's a very valid question. So generally what happens is that based on the subjects you're doing for the IGCSE, you would use that as a base to understand which subjects you should take at the A levels. So generally they would, if you look at the international schools themselves, they generally would allow students only who have achieved B's and A's to take those same subjects for the A levels, because they feel like you need to work to your strengths. And if you have achieved B's and A's, that means that you are stronger in those subjects and you will do better in your A levels in those subjects. There are certain subjects like that you might find that in order to take further maths at A levels, for example, they may have further requirements. So they might require to achieve an A star at IGCSE in order to do further maths. So that is commonplace across the international schooling system, where based on the subjects you have chosen at your IGCSEs, because that's the foundation and the A levels builds on that. So if you have, for example, chosen more science subjects, potentially that will take you more into the science stream. Of course, there is some flexibility here, but even from our perspective, we will not recommend, for example, if you haven't taken computer science at IGCSE and want to do computer science at A levels, that's going to be a huge jump for you, and one that we would think twice unless we assess your skills and you have done private courses and got up to the required level of knowledge. It's not something we could recommend to. So generally speaking, it's always good to ensure that the subjects you take at the IGCSE give you all the options you need to choose your pathway for A levels.
Right. Thanks for that. So which means that, let's say if his intention is to take, let's say, further maths and physics for his A levels, so which means that he just needs math and additional math and IGCSE and physics as well. Is that right?
Correct, exactly. So in order to do further maths, definitely we recommend additional maths at IGCSE. And if he's going to do physics, then ideally you would look at, definitely doing physics at IGCSE too. Now the other thing is that now the other thing you also have to consider is post A levels in terms of university, because looking back, I mean, what you do at A levels is definitely in terms of subjects is going to determine which courses you're going to qualify for university. So it's really important to actually work backwards from the university to think, okay, now I need to have these levels of these subjects at A levels in order to, for me to apply for the courses that I'm interested in at university. Because looking back, you think, oh, actually, this particular course, for example, if I wanted to go and do biochemistry, but I didn't have, biology or chemistry, now that would be a serious restriction on my ability to do a university for for that particular course.
Yeah. All right, understand. What about the English requirement? Let's say he's got O-level English. So is there a general paper that we need for A levels?
No, so in the Cambridge A levels and the Pearson edX A levels, there is no general paper. So the general paper is Singapore Cambridge A levels.
Okay.
It's a unique phenomenon that is only there for the Singapore Cambridge A levels. So how it works generally is that they would generally look for English IGCSE qualification.
Okay. All right.
You aren't required to, you're not pursuing a course that is predominantly requiring English at university, then you can focus on the sciences at your A levels. Like 3 or 4 subjects is more than sufficient.
Okay, right. Good. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, if we do not have further questions, thank you so much for joining, team. Over to you, Ruhi.
Yes, thanks, Fairooza.
Thanks, Tutopiya, for this very insightful session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manchu. Over to you, Ruhi.
So thank you, Nuha and Fairooza, for sharing your expertise and insights with us. A special thank you goes to Yapzen, who generously shared his experience and success story with us, adding in-depth and real-world perspective to our discussion. So as we conclude, let's ensure we make more well-informed decisions in a child's academic journey. Yeah, so thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Yap. Thank you to Yap's dad. Really appreciate you joining us today and sharing. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, team.
Amrish and Donchian, I know you all joined. Thank you very much. Do you all have any questions that you all have to any of us before we leave the call? Okay. Thank you, Amrish and Don. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you joining the call. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thanks.